Are we live?
No, not. No.
Okay.
And yes, we are live now.
Wonderful. Hello, friends. I welcome all of you to this very special LinkedIn Live session, which has been organized by Dynamic CIO and Dynamic CISO. So, we are basically conducting a series of activities around cybersecurity in the run up to our flagship annual Dynamic CISO Summit and Awards 2021. My name is Mukbil Ahmer. I'm the executive editor at dynamicciso.com and Greyhead Media and one of the hosts for today. As a co-host, I'm joined by my colleague Bablu Kumar, who is a security researcher with Greyhead Media.
Yeah.
First of all, friends, I really wish and hope that all of you are safe and secure. And many thanks for assembling today, despite this being a busy Thursday afternoon. We would all agree that we are actually testament to the fact that new ways of working are emerging in the wake of the pandemic as enterprises try to ensure business continuity. And work from home is actually unavoidable today. One of the consequences of this big shift has been a surge in the digitization of organizations. As a result, the threat surface area has increased remarkably. In fact, while working from home can keep employees safe physically, but it can also be a challenge for IT. The risks of phishing and malware attacks are always there. However, this possibility gets multiplied when an increasing number of employees work from home and not under the watchful eyes of a CISO. For example, let me give you some numbers. More than 281 billion emails are sent each day, and 91% of cyber attacks originate with an email. It is therefore of paramount importance to have a fresh look at cybersecurity. On the other hand, we also see that the threat landscape has become really dynamic over the past few months and has changed significantly. There is a steep rise in cybercrime, particularly during the lockdown period. In fact, you would all be aware of recent cyber attacks that made headlines the world over, such as the SolarWinds hack, which was a masterfully orchestrated supply chain exploit that compromised multiple systems of governments and companies worldwide. In fact, cyber attacks are becoming increasingly sophisticated and rampant. Advanced threats such as ransomware, which are propagated via malicious and compromised websites and botnets, are wreaking havoc. A weak security posture can leave enterprises to the mercy of cyber attackers and crimes. According to ISACA, globally cybercrime damages are expected to reach $6 trillion by 2021. In such a context, how do you protect your organization from the creative and ever-changing ways of cyber attackers? What are the important questions to ask when evaluating your own security posture? We will discuss all this and much more. However, we would like this session to be truly interactive. And therefore, I request all of you here to keep sending your questions to us to the comment box, and we will try to accommodate as many of them as we can. And before we delve into a systematic round of discussions, I would take this opportunity to introduce our guest speakers for today, both of whom are very senior cybersecurity leaders. Friends, it is my pleasure to introduce Mukesh Chandramohan, Chief Information Security Officer or CISO, Aditya Birla Capital. Mukesh is a seasoned professional with 17 plus years of experience across cybersecurity, data privacy, business continuity, and operational risk management across industry verticals. such as financial services, information technology enabled services, and automobile functioning. He comes with exceptional stakeholder management and leadership skills. In his own words, Makesh is passionate about new age technologies, loves to explore, experiment, and evolve. Our next panelist for the day is Kapil Madan, CISO Spark Minda. With several years of rich experience in the InfoSec domain, Madan is a professional with proven abilities and is a certified technocrat with Indian as well as US experience in the areas of audit and accreditation, IT and InfoSec, data privacy, strategic planning and management, IT security, governance, business continuity planning, and disaster recovery, among others. He's had exposure across several industries, including telecommunications, banking, digital, finance, and IT services. In his own words, Kapil believes that he believes in leveraging the CISO functions to the hilt to enable business to compete and grow. So, friends, welcome to this show. I hope all of you are doing very well. And so, let us start the discussions with Makesh first. So, Makesh, coming to you, uh, in your own opinion, you are a senior cybersecurity leader uh, of the current times. What are the major threat vulnerabilities that organizations particularly face today? And how does the threat landscape look like?
Uh, Good evening, Mukbil, and good evening to everybody. I would like to start with a small disclaimer. Uh, all the opinions and views which I express in this conversation is at my personal capacity, and I think with threat and vulnerabilities, what we are seeing today. In last 1 year, I think exactly 1 year, right? March 2020 to February 2021. Now, close to 1 year during this pandemic period, there is a drastic change in terms of mindset of an organization and mindset of an CISO, which got changed over the period of time. Now, if you see the threat and vulnerabilities which was there earlier, it has not got completely away, or the completely new set of threats have not come, right? But the magnitude of existing threats and vulnerabilities which was there earlier has jumped multiple times during this period. There are some reasons attached to it. Some of them I would like to quote. I think we all know that because of the pandemic situation, I think digitization has been a business mantra for last 1 year. People who have not thought about getting into complete online portfolio, now they do complete business life cycle on online, right? Starting from acquiring a customer, generating a lead, getting business transactions done, doing customer service, everything is becoming an online right now. So the availability of the channels, especially the online channels like web, mobile, and other digital channels which we can talk about, has become paramount importance to sustain in a business. I think the basic necessity of ensuring the availability of these channels have become a responsibility of a CISO also, because cyber attack impacts the availability of the existing systems. So that has become one of the major point. And during this period, because as you rightly said, I think we are slowly moving towards that. But I think within a matter of few days, we suddenly become a boundaryless environment, right? I think last 10 years, if you see, a lot of people have thought about allowing people to work from home, but that has not moved even beyond 10% of their employee base. Overnight, the country-wise lockdown has stimulated an emergency that all the organizations should have a capability to allow people to work from home. Now that has given a new set of challenges, new set of threats and vulnerabilities, which a CISO has to manage. I think that's the second point I would like to throw. Third is, as a part of digitization, now the organization has really started accelerating some of the digital environment, which is not possible in on-prem uh, ecosystem, because of which the public cloud adoption has become a huge win right now. If you see in last 1 year, most of the organizations have at least started to migrate all the new set of applications to the public cloud. I think that's where the third set of threats are coming from, because most of the attacks, if you have seen in last few years, which has happened in the public cloud, are because of misconfigurations and the visibility which CISO or CISO's team have on the cloud environment. These are the three major areas, I would say. There are a lot of minimal operational level threats and vulnerabilities which we can talk about it, but that we will take it forward later.
Absolutely. So, very good points, Makesh. What you primarily said was that the nature of the attacks haven't really changed that much, but the magnitude has changed a lot. So this brings me to a very small side question. For example, I in my introductory note, I spoke about this solar winds hack which happened very recently. Do you think in which a lot of several government departments got compromised, as well as premier agencies got compromised? Do you think that also falls in the category of the attacks which have been happening over the years?
Uh, Very good question. I think that I was about to talk in the later part of the conversation. That was one attack, I would say, or I think it's going to be carried forward as a new dimension altogether. Going forward, that's one of my observation for next few years. That's going to be the key area of concern, because it's nightmarish to even think and believe that the person or the organization or an ecosystem which you completely trust is going to actually give something which is going to be a catastrophic for your organization. And there is no way where we can actually look at detecting something there, or putting any kind of prevention mechanisms there. So I think response comes as the savior. But yes, I agree with you. That's a new set of dimensions which are coming up, especially on the supply chain security, and especially SolarWind is just a starting point, I would say, as a tip of an iceberg.
Right, right. So, Makesh, you have raised very pertinent points. You also spoke about how cloud security is of paramount importance today. And one thing which I missed in the beginning part of the conversation is that since we are having this session on remote working, I must ask you, are you working from home or working from office?
So as I told earlier,
Because the background is very, very formal and looks like as if you are in office.
actually I am working from office today, but I think the office has not started in a full-fledged way. But people are allowed to work from home as well as an office based on the government notification. I think the organization has decided to allow certain people. Otherwise, I think we are allowed to work from home, and we have built this capability long time back.
Wonderful. So, bringing Kapil now into the conversation. So, Kapil, you have heard, Makesh's views on the threat landscape and what all has changed and what not has changed. So, could you, shed what is your opinion about this entire thing? How do you see the threat landscape evolving and all of that?
Yeah, I'm completely agree with Makesh, whatever he told. And the key point, he raised the boundaryless. And before starting that, I want, some people don't know the difference between vulnerability and threat. So I want to let everybody know the difference first. So vulnerability, a point at which there is potential for a security breach. And what is that? Some danger that can exploit a vulnerability. And now threats, can take many different forms, including unauthorized access to data, with the intent of committing fraud against individuals and businesses. At its most extreme, there is a potential for a systematic destruction. So this is called threat. Yesterday I seen one news, where a bad actor came and he changed water chemical levels to poison entire, US city. So he got access to computer. This is called attack. Yesterday or day before yesterday, I heard that.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
So
Absolutely. One of the
yeah,
biggest.
correct. So since the COVID-19 pandemic started approximately 1 year ago, so the world had changed drastically, dramatically in many ways. So in the business community, companies and their IT teams had to adapt quickly to manage with the new challenges and keep their operations moving, running. So first, there was a transition to enable remote work, the first priority. Even organizations that were most resistant to letting people's work from home were forced to fast track their adoption. It was forced. And how many days we got? Let me know. How many days we got? Only 10 to 15 days, maximum 10 to 15 days. And within 15 days, we adopted remote working. Is this possible? Is that possible? We adopted security also within 15 days. No loopholes. So this is the first thing. In a global survey, the majority of companies reported that their biggest struggle during the pandemic was enabling their remote workers. Now coming on the point, major threat and vulnerabilities. So major threat and vulnerabilities, if you talk about social engineering attacks, it's totally increased. Exposure of known and unknown internet-facing vulnerabilities, that is increased, and exploitation of system administration tools that you told about, SolarWinds, and human-oriented ransomware that you describe in your initial note. When security threat emerge, they can spread like wildfires. According to me, the top three security threats are malware, phishing, and accidental data leakage. This is also a threat. The major consequences of a data breach can be loss of access to business, critical information, damage to a company reputation, and also a temporary loss of trading abilities. And the key point here I want to mention, identity theft. Identity theft is also growing concern where bad actors steals someone's personal identification details to commit fraud or gain financial benefits. Yeah.
All right. Talking about threats and vulnerabilities, my first question would be for both Makesh and Kapil. So the question is, what vulnerability trends do you expect to emerge in 2021? Makesh first, and then Kapil.
See, when you say vulnerabilities, as I told some time back, I think the change is not going to be very different, right? But what we are going to see is like definitely, I think the security researchers identifying the vulnerability and the time we take to mitigate the vulnerability is going to be little longer right now because people are not connected in the environment. And historically, I think most of the security solutions are designed to work inside the LAN network. Now, I think since people are outside the network, they connect on and off. I think for a few days they work only on the mobile devices. They don't even open the laptop. So getting them on connected and implement the patches, implement the security controls, what we require, including the policy statements, is becoming increasingly difficult, right? I think during the pandemic, I think this has become a huge issue in terms of compliance as well as both for mitigating the vulnerabilities statute in the organization. And I'm pretty sure going forward also for next at least a year and a half, I'm seeing, and going forward, I think that will become a norm, at least for a few percentage of overall employee base who will continue to work from home. So one of the challenge which most of the CISOs have taken, including I personally have revisited, is about the complete security architecture, right? So as I told historically, all the security tools and technologies were designed to work inside the network. Now we have tried and redesigned that architecture to ensure people can come from anywhere else. I think your security tools should be reachable for them, and you should be able to reach to all the end users. That's something which we have done. I think with that capability, I think this challenge is going to drastically come down. But yes, currently we have this challenge. So vulnerability at the endpoint is going to be a big problem. As I told some time back, I think the public adoption and the digitalization and the accelerated pace of digitalization and the public cloud adoption is becoming a huge challenge. Because assume that you have an organization which is very, very big, and if you are allowed to go with multiple clouds, the visibility to the CISO team has become increasing challenge, because you do not know who is actually onboarding what kind of public cloud services from which cloud service providers. You may have some 10 SaaS providers, you may have some 5 PaaS providers, you may have some IaaS providers where you will be hosting your services. Now, the question is whether everybody who is involved in this ecosystem is aware about their roles and responsibilities, right? That's where the problem is, because a lot of people assume the moment I go to the cloud, I think everything will be taken care by the cloud service providers. That's not true, right? So even for SaaS services like Microsoft O365 email ecosystem, 95% of the, at least 90% of the people, nine out of 10 people I have spoken to, they are not aware that what kind of security features comes at free of cost by default as a package, and what additional security features which they have to opt in case if they have to actually put it into a different risk buckets and mitigate the different set of users. So these are some of the challenges which we are really seeing. As Kapil was also telling, incremental, and I would not say even incremental, I would say that exponential high or a spike of some of the attacks which we have seen this year is going to continue for next few years. So some of them are like, for example, very, very strong and very sophisticated phishing and ransomware email attacks we have seen. We have seen CXO BCAMs. We have seen a lot of attacks on availability of the core systems. Privacy is becoming an important aspect right now. I think a lot of customers, a lot of people are becoming increasingly aware about their privacy rights, and privacy is going to become a very big challenge for big corporates. The last one, as Mobile was talking about, I think the supply chain security is a big problem. Even in SolarWind, there is some information where our suspect, which was talking about, even some of the core corporate systems are impacted, including Microsoft, right? Though it is not very clearly come out from the actual organization, but think about all the core technologies which you use is having some kind of impact through a backdoor which is being maliciously injected. So how are you going to actually detect that, and how are you going to actually work to prevent such attacks is a big question mark which we have in front of us.
Correct. And with the increase of, as you mentioned in the previous answer, with the increase of public cloud adoption, we will see more and more misconfigurations and all. Yeah. So coming back to Kapil with the same question, Kapil, what do you think what kind of trend do you think will emerge in 2021 in regards to vulnerabilities? You're on mute, Kapil.
Yeah, my bad. Okay. So vulnerabilities. So basically, vulnerability depends on two parameters. One is the known, another is the unknown. So known, what we can do, we can create proper security strategy. We can enhance our tools, technologies. And what about known vulnerability, unknown vulnerabilities? So for that, now we are on remote work from home. So who is the first target for bad actor? The employee. So I'm coming on the awareness part. So awareness, is the key factor here that we have to provide to our employees, to the normal public. And about the trend, agree increase of digitalization leading to spike in cybersecurity risk. There is no doubt. The biggest, most demanding and most widespread threat facing small business are phishing attacks. Directly attacking to employees. Phishing account for 90% of all breaches that organization face. They have been grown approximate, I think 60 to 65 over the last year, and they account in billion in business losses. So cyber attack often results substantial financial loss rising from theft of corporate information, theft of financial information, and theft of money. That is my take.
Right. So, Mukesh, let us, get to the brass tacks. The central theme of this session, which is about remote working, and as you have rightly pointed out, that digitalization has led to, in fact, there was a period where companies had 100% of their workforce going remote. So, in such a circumstances, how do enterprises really defend themselves? Because this change, uh, which a lot of people say that this is here to stay, and this will be one of the characteristics of the new normal. How do you see this entire change? And I will also come to the cloud part that you have repeatedly spoken about during your talk. We'll come to that later, but first let us get to the central theme of this talk today.
So, Mukbil, so for remote work from home option throws two set of challenges. One is the data security risk, which we foresee through a technology channel, which can happen through a technology channel from endpoints, right? The people used to actually copy something and taking and doing something for even inadvertently or even advertently, right? Uh, that that is possible to be managed at this point in time, because as I told, I think the security architecture has been redesigned, and most of the tools are available today which can work from wherever they connect from, right? That's not a problem. One of the other way of handling that is like completely give the VDI option, where you don't allow anything to be stored or anything to be copied on your local laptop. So everything you give only the view only access, people can just access and look at that and do whatever they want to do it. Now the question is like the environment, like there are back office operations, there are calling operations which happens where even mobile phones are not allowed when they work from office, right? So what do we do with those set of people? What do we do with those kind of people not under the CCTV camera, not under the office environment, freely allowed to take the mobile devices along with them? How do we stop the risk exposures there? At this point in time, to be honest, I think in most of the places it is working on hybrid model. Partially, it is on a trust factor of the person who is involved in that job, and partially there is a technology level monitoring which is happening. But I think it's a long way to go. I think things are getting matured right now. Recently, from one of the BPO or ITES service company, I got to know that they have developed a fantastic monitoring mechanisms for such activities, and it is as good as like people working from home. People working from office. But I'm not sure about it. But I think it's a hybrid model right now, which works. One is on trust, and second is like technology channel monitoring. And people have started developing very, very unique and innovative control mechanism to monitor such activities. In some places, I have seen people are actually developing a model where they can map some of the access related items in the background to generate anomalies. For example, until you get a call from the customer or until you have received an email from the customer, some form of request which has come, I think the person will not be able to access the CRM information of the customer. So some of the items are there already partially, but I think things are getting evolved day by day.
Right. So, Mukesh, a central query that repeatedly is being debated a lot, especially in technology circles, is that they're defining something like the new normal, and they're saying that this will be a change which is permanent. Do you think? What is your opinion on that? Do you think that once the restrictions are removed, will things go back to as they were before? Or do you think that a large chunk of this change which has happened, this will continue for good?
See, Upil, this is nothing to do with cyber security, but what I am seeing as a person is like there are good and bads on both the sides, right? So I'm pretty sure most of the organizations will start looking this with some kind of rationalization. So it's not like one size fits all. So there will be a huge exercise which will be conducted in most of the organizations before they take a call of which are the roles which can work from home, which are the roles which have to partially come to office, which are the roles which is mandatory to be in office. There are certain regulations which have been exempted at this point in time, especially in banking and financial institutions, to work from home. But I don't know whether that will be continuing post-pandemic dates, right? So, and the risk exposure can't be completely mitigated if it's going to be from home until we see some real stuff coming out of that area. So I think organization will take a rational call where definitely work from home is going to become a new normal, but it will not be for 100% of the employee base. It will be on some rational.
Right. Your views on this, Kapil?
Yeah. So as you know, we came digitally, there's no doubt, and majority of workforce came remotely. We increased our boundaries in work culture as we have to increase our security also. We increase our boundaries in work culture, and same we have to do in our security. And we came with, we have to come with boundaryless security techniques. I think you are agree with that. And the same thing Makesh told. Full cyberspace is ours. There are no boundaries. So now, how we'll keep safe our transactions? How will keep safe our employees? How will keep safe our environment? Remote workers are typically the first to face security threat that I already told. So they are often the source of network security incidents that can wave quickly through the rest of the organization. Even if you don't have remote employees, other mobile devices like smartphones and laptops, so they can generate security risk. So now cybersecurity leader role comes in picture. It's to prevent, it's to prepare strategy. We call CISO strategy. So we have to think from a broader level, like application security, network security, endpoint security, or our full infra security. So that should come with a combination. And what next? From support to strategy, set the culture. While most companies recognize the pressing need of technical security measures, without a secure, culture of security in workplace, the risk of threat can remain high. Again, I'm repeating, the risk of threat can remain high. Human error can vary quickly and easily, under even the most stringent digital protection is there. So what's next? So, establishing a culture of awareness around, cybersecurity is crucial to ongoing information security. Previously, I told about awareness. Now again, I'm telling about awareness. Yeah, this is my take.
Sure. So talking about awareness, how do organizations strike the right balance between data protection and productivity? Makesh.
Yeah, okay.
Bablu, come again, please.
Am I on?
Yeah, audible.
Yeah, I mean, my question is, how do organizations strike the right balance between data protection and productivity?
Okay, so that's what I said in my previous answer also. I think ideally there should be a right balance between these two. So one of the point which I normally insist with my colleagues and my friends in this ecosystem is uh, don't say no for anything. I think first hear out from the businesses what they want to really do, right? And then do a reverse engineering to put a controls around it and give what best we can provide. Just for example, there are, it's not so easy. Well, I say that we have all accommodated to this new normal, right? The initial 2 to 3 months, I would say that like most of the people would have got into a hiccup mode, right? So we have seen multiple challenges coming out. So suddenly there are some few hundred laptops got conked off, right? There is absolutely no support, right? But we can't run away from the business operations because these are all critical resources. So suddenly when we went to the market, I think we couldn't find anything else. So what is an alternative, right? So we immediately took VDI and then we onboarded this 100 people. And we said, you work from, we just checked whether your laptop is there in home. Yes. put the basic control over there, ensure that you are connecting with an internet. That's a minimal thing which we have to do it. I think in this way, I think we are ensuring the productivity, but at the same time, I think we are putting reasonable security practices to ensure that it is not grossly misused, or even like Kapil mentioned, even it doesn't lead to an accidental data leak kind of situation. I think there are multiple examples which we can talk about where we have faced in last 1 year, not only from our side. I think I have heard from my colleagues and peers from other organizations. I think the challenge has been clearly moving out right now, where CISOs are no more going to tell no for anything. I think it is with yes, with caveats attached to it. And I'm pretty happy that most of the organizational management, which includes all the other CXOs or other leadership team members, are very much aligned to these practices right now. So they themselves are proactively coming and approaching CISOs to understand really like what best we can do it. It's actually complementing each other. The CISOs attitude towards the business and business attitudes towards the security has moved a lot in last few years, I would say.
So Mukesh,
Right.
just interjecting for a second, you said something very important, and something which really caught my attention is how the CISO today is actually forced to wear several hats, and how the role of a CISO has evolved in the past few months, or the pandemic times. So would you like to elaborate a little bit more on that, because that's also one of the other areas widely being debated in cybersecurity domain.
Mukbil, I would like to just put forth one point before I answer for this question. Is like whatever I am telling might not be true with 100% of the organizations, or not even majority of the organizations, right? So I might be lucky enough to see the organizations which have really grabbed up in the maturity curve. But I think and there are a lot of organizations which has not gone to that maturity level, right? In terms of actually accepting CISO as a business guy who will be involved and entertained in the business decisions. But I'm saying in most of the major organizations, I would say, I think now things have changed. As I told some time back, I think organization is very much open enough to discuss all the strategic initiatives at the initial stage with CISOs. If even if it is not coming from the chief executive, it comes from other leadership team members, at least at an initial stage, and it gets discussed. The point is, I think CISOs are not, I would not say that CISOs are compelled, but I think CISOs are moving towards that direction where they have to have multiple hats, including compliance, including risk, including hardcore technology officer. We have to help the technology delivery, because end of the day, I think it's going to meet with the business objectives. It comes with the actually the old saying where whether information security or cyber security, whatever you call it, as it has to be aligned with your business objectives. So if you know what's your business goal, I think you have to thrive all the calculations and all the controls and all the ecosystems aligned to that one particular goal. I think that's going to be a success mantra if you want to continue organization doing whatever they want to do, but in a secure way.
Right. So I want to ask the same question to Kapil as well about his perspective on how did his organization strike the right balance between the data protection and productivity.
Okay. So, as an cybersecurity leader, as CISO, so as a CISO, want to help users to be productive as possible. To do this, we need to provide a frictionless, secure technology experience. But in today's security landscape, protecting users and data is I'll say non-negotiable. The result: IT leaders face a problem between productivity and data protection. With too much, protection, real agility becomes impossible. Too little protection, however, leaves the organization vulnerable to disaster. Now what? Productivity versus security, which is more important? Employees would believe that productivity is more important, You all are agree? Then anything, and what else? But what would happen if some security measures were breached and important data was compromised? The amount of rework needed would not only consume resources but also put depression on your product, on the productivity, as well as what we call obsession on productivity. So therefore CISOs always push for security over productivity, and now it's a true time everybody understand that. However, not all are happy about it, but they understand. This is my take.
Right. So we have had a lovely discussion today, and before we wrap up, I think there is just enough time for having a last, giving the last word to Mukesh, who is a very senior infosec and cybersecurity professional. So Mukesh, what is your say, 4 or 5 takeaways or tips to cybersecurity professionals who are really, having to deal with this extremely mobile and dynamic workforce, most of which is working remotely? What is your advice to them?
So I don't know whether I can give advice, but I think some of the points what I normally keep in mind while I do my day-to-day operations is always ensure your security controls can create an inconvenience, not a problem, but your security controls should not stop others' work. That should be your primary motto, right? At the end of the day, I think none of them are doing anything for their personal benefit. I think everything is leading to an organizational objectives. So your business objectives has to be supported with your security initiatives. That's your first point. Second is like, as I told earlier, I think always put yourself from others' perspective and do stuff accordingly, right? That will really help people coming towards us, because I normally believe CISO is not one person who can defend the organization. CISO is just a representative who brings direction and guidance, right? I normally believe I need all, when I say all, including my outsourced security partner, who stands in front of my gate, is also equally responsible for any kind of security in my organization. So I think we need to create more security professionals, at least from the mindset perspective, across organization. So you should have people to raise an alert and notify an incident and raise a business case coming to us for guidance. I think from the most of the places, I think we should have that um, collaborative mindset, so that people come to you for support. That's the third point which you need to create. Fourth is always keep your eyes and ears open, because I have seen over the period of time now, technology is also going through a huge change. I have seen a lot of other functions have also been asked to drive technology initiatives in the name of innovation, right? So you may or may not get an opportunity to officially receive a communication something else is happening. So always keep your eyes and ears open, so that you can proactively approach people to help them out. That's the fourth point. I think fifth point is like keep yourself up to date all the time. I think my one of the biggest challenge which I have seen in last 1 year myself, and I pretty close to this particular say, is like learn to unlearn is a biggest mantra, I would say, because in today's context, I think over last 10-15 years, whatever we have learned, we have been compelled to leave a lot of stuffs in last 1 year. So unlearning is and it has to be very quick. Quick unlearning and relearning is one of a very big challenge which most of the CISOs has to address in today's context.
Right, Mukesh, it would, this is a discussion that would not have any end, because of, the many diverse topics and subjects that you have raised. You have spoken about skills, you have spoken about cloud, and I really, these are really topics which are very close to me and would be close to anybody who is interested in the field of technology. So thanks to both of you, Mukesh and Kapil. Kapil, in case you want to add just in a few 20-30 seconds your own advice to CISOs, and then we wrap up this session.
Yeah. So the main thing is learning.
Hmm.
Keep always up to date, learning and learning. So as you know, a situation came, COVID-19, we got only small time. And who helped us? The learning. So
There
that
is
is the
no
only
end
thing
to
I want
learning.
to. Yeah, there is no end to learning. But keep up to
Maybe you are
date.
a
Up to date.
CISO. Actually, this is true for our profession also. There is no end to learning because
True.
every day you are dealing with new subjects, new topics, new
And
people, and
and for upcoming leader, sorry for interruption. And for upcoming leader, I'll say convert sport to strategy. If
hmm,
you'll think from strategy perspective, our mindset will come in that way that we can achieve everything.
true, 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 true. Very insightful discussion we have had today. Thank you, Makesh. Thank you, Kapil. It's been a lovely, lovely discussion. We are really running out of time. I already see that we are 45 minutes into the discussion. So, in the interest of time, we'll wrap it up now. And it's been lovely, lovely interacting with both of you. And I'm very sure that the audience that we have had today, most of which are very senior and accomplished cybersecurity and infosec professionals, they would have a lot to take away from this discussion that we have had. Thanks a lot, and uh, I would like to say that to people that thanks for attending, despite this being a busy Thursday afternoon, and uh, be tuned, and we will keep reaching you with new content and all around the team of cybersecurity. And thank you all for attending. Thank you, Makesh, and thank you, Kapil, once again.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mukul. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for your
Have
time,
a good day.
Makesh and Kapil.
Have a good day. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye bye.